Hi, I'm Chelsea from the Truro Council on Aging, and today with us we have Larry Dapsis. He's an entomologist with Cape Cod Cooperative Extension, and today he's going to be doing a discussion on edible bugs. Hi, Larry. How are you?
Thanks, Chelsea, and it's great to see you again.
Thank you. You as well. We're
We're
excited for this one.
This is getting to be a regular thing.
Yes, it's great. I love them. Thank you
Okay,
for your time.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
All right, it's all you. Thank you.
And now we'll just find our presentation. Can you see my slide okay?
Yep, it's perfect.
Okay. All right, off we go. Today's subject, we're going to be talking about entomophagy. Well, what the heck is entomophagy? Well, it happens to be a beautiful compound word, entomo meaning insects or bugs, and phagy, to eat bugs. And this is something that's interesting to me. I mean, a lot of people don't mind shelling out, pun intended, substantial quantities of money for something like a lobster dinner. But when you think about it, what is a lobster? A lobster is a giant insect that happens to live in the ocean. But if I was to prepare you a beautiful stir fry and have that laced with toasted grasshoppers, somehow there's something lost in the translation that doesn't look nearly as appetizing as the lobster. It's interesting that in North America, Europe, and Russia, we are three of the few cultures where insects are really not part of our diet in a big way. Whereas you look at places like Latin America into South America, the Mediterranean basin area, Central Africa, and Southeast Asia for sure, insects are a regular part of diets, but not so much for a lot of cultural reasons and historical reasons, which are interesting. And so what we really have here, and there's a sustainability argument why we should be considering eating insects as part of our diet. But there are barriers to this. There's a couple different components in what I'm calling the ick factor. One of the components is neophobia, and that's the reaction of a person when they're exposed to something novel for the very, very, very first time. And it's almost kind of like it can freak you out for a second. The other component of the ick factor is on texture and appearance. Just based on the way it looks, you're predicting what type of experience that is potentially going to be. And this isn't just confined to little kids, but a lot of adults fall in this category as well. All right, I'm here to tell you that you may not think you want to eat insects, but you do eat insects each and every day. That's because the FDA, there are allowable defect levels in any processed food product and for certain levels of bug contamination. So if you look at cornmeal, an average of one whole insect per 50 grams, a little over an ounce of cornmeal, or 25 bug fragments per that 1 ounce of cornmeal. In peanut butter, 30 bug fragments in basically 3 ounces of peanut butter, certain level of insect damage, 7% stinging damage by olive fruit fly. And if you look at canned mushrooms, yeah, an average of 20 or more maggots of any size per 3 ounces of mushrooms. So we eat a little bit of protein in these type of foods all the time. All right. The United States, we're fairly new to this as companies are getting off the ground and marketing efforts are starting to take place. So from the Food and Drug Administration, they don't have a standard yet, a specific standard, but they have developed some guidelines on how these businesses need to go forward. One is these insects have to be basically farmed. You can't go out into the wild and catch a cajillion grasshoppers, do something with them, package them, and sell them to the public. You got to grow these things as food. Um, Not surprising, you need to do the same bacteriological testing as you do with any food product. So looking for E. coli and salmonella and listeria. Yeah, that's all that has to be done. Um, GMP, that stands for Good Manufacturing Practices. So basically, you're looking at these things as bug food factories. So you need to have written protocols in place that are subject to inspections and audits, both internal and external. And you just can't call it a bug with chocolate on it. You gotta label the actual common name of the insect, like field cricket, and then the scientific, basically the Latin name of that creature. And importantly, you have to know any allergy potential. All right. And this is important because if you are allergic to shellfish, so like crab, lobster, and shrimp, there's a cross reactivity to insect food products. That's because the shell of something like a lobster is made of the same chemical that makes up the shell of this cricket, a polysaccharide called chitin. All right. One of the big picture ways people are looking at this is that um, by and large, we throw away enormous quantities of food. Okay. That's just part of the waste stream. And people are thinking instead of that going into landfill, why can't we use insects to convert that into some usable product like a protein? And so if you look at the potential of what could be bioconverted, yeah, 1.3 billion tons each and every year. Well, this is being done on a small scale. This is actually a high school science project where these students are using black soldier fly larvae to compost food waste. And this is kind of an interesting little project here. And this is a local effort. This was featured in the Bourne Enterprise. And this science project is at Upper Cape Tech Regional High School. And I gave a workshop on ticks there one time, but a group of sophomores gladly and proudly took me on a tour of their little facility for the black soldier fly work. What helped make this come to fruition is they had a liaison, a person at the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole, and he basically taught them that how to do this on the cheap using these in the lower left these container shipping uh, boxes that are used on cargo ships and to convert them to a bioconversion laboratory. And so for this black soldier fly project that they have going, here's the arithmetic. On the left, you have 1 gram of black soldier fly eggs. You add that to 50 pounds of food waste. And Upper Cape Tech, they have a substantial culinary arts program, so they generate a lot of food waste. And so their commitment is to have every scrap of food generated on campus go through this process. And after about 3 weeks on the right, you end up with 10 pounds of high quality protein in terms of black soldier fly larvae and pupae that they can use in their fish farm and high quality compost that they can use in their greenhouse operations. So it's a totally recyclable, internal, 100% bioconversion in house. All right, this was scaled up to a substantial level, not just campus food waste, but this is the Interra Feed Company. They're in Vancouver, British Columbia, and their company, they are receiving all the food waste generated within the city from the hospitals, the universities, the schools, the restaurants, or as much as they can get. And they're putting this into a substantially scaled up version of what we saw at Upper Cape Tech. And so they're a company that's on the map. I mean, they're not the hugest feed company in the world right now, but they're generating quite a bit of activity. So yeah, in the city of Vancouver, 36,000 tons of food waste each and every year. And so they're generating about 5,400 tons of larvae that are being now used as animal feed. And with that broken down biomass or the food waste, yeah, almost 3,000 tons of fertilizer. They're extracting a tremendous amount of water in the process. I don't know what they're doing with this. I've written to them, but they have not gotten back to me as yet. So, Terra Food Group, that's a fairly small company, but this kind of process now has the full attention of the big players in the animal feed business, the Cargills, the Wilbur Ellises, the Buellers. Animal feed business is big. It's a $400 billion a year business. And these companies are all looking at tea leaves in the same way. If you look at that chart on the left, this is global meat consumption, real and projected into the future. And on the right, that's meat consumption by country. And in terms of industrialized countries that have higher performing economies, they can afford more meat protein for their diets. But as transition countries and developing countries improve their economies, they're also going to be creating this demand as well. So the way overall the big picture is looking like, there's only so much agricultural acreage that you can devote to something like soybean production, which is a big component of animal feed, or corn. And so we're not really increasing agricultural acreage, and we're not increasing actually the number of farmers. There's not a lot of new farmers coming into this. In fact, in the United States, the percentage of the population involved directly in farming, it's only about 1% of the population. So insect-based protein feeds seems to be a logical way to meet these gaps. So for people interested in getting into these type of businesses, there's a lot to learn, but there's a shortcut. And so as interest in this type of operation increases, you get consultant groups like Big Cricket Solutions come on the scene. You write a check to this group, and they will get you in the cricket business overnight. They have developed an automated system, so it's turnkey. And so here's an example: the Cowboy Crickets Farm. They're a company that got their start through the use of one of these automated systems. And this is what it looks like in real life. Yeah, a lot of egg cartons. That creates a lot of surface area for all these crickets to feed and grow. And so the business model has changed, where Jiminy Cricket used to be the voice of consciousness to Pinocchio, what's right versus what's wrong. But there's a paradigm shift in this business model where now Jiminy is on the dinner plate. All right. And this Cowboy Cricket Farm company, they're trying to make themselves a fun brand. So their logo is a cowboy riding this cricket, holding the antennae like reins. On the left is a kind of a funky product that's a chocolate chirp cookie. Every cookie is guaranteed to contain 30 crickets. And then they have some standard ingredient products, like on the right, cricket flour. Yeah, and that's going to be a mainstay go in the industry going forward. And if you look really hard at the lower right, that price point, 49 bucks a pound. And there's some reasons they can command that kind of price point. They're also developed their own swag, kind of make you a member of the franchise. And for the investment minded, you can even buy shares of stock in their company. Get in on the ground floor, because this business is going to be taking off. All right, if you look at nutritionally something like cricket flour, why it's so intriguing is that cricket flour has twice the protein content of the same size serving of beef, chicken, or fish, and 6 times the amount of protein as the same size serving of eggs. So cricket flour and bug food in general is protein packed, and that should turn some people's attention. All right, here's an interesting company, the Aspire Food Group. Um, there was a group of 3 graduate students at McGill University in Montreal. They were in the business school and they were in an MBA program, and they entered a contest. And in this contest, you were supposed to come up with a viable business plan that looked like it had a likelihood of success. And they basically won this contest. And I think it came with $1 million. And so the first thing they did is they went to Thailand to see how they grow crickets, because nobody can grow crickets like the Thailand. Um, so they basically have 2 companies. On the left, they have basically a humanitarian company in Ghana, over in Africa, where they're teaching local farmers how to rear palm weevil larvae as a way to supplement their protein needs for the villagers. But in the United States, they're in the cricket business, and they got into this in kind of a modest way. Also, uh, what they're processing is they're producing cricket flour and ingredients like whole roasted crickets, and it was a modest start, 25,000 square foot production area, and that's about the size of a half a football field. And in that area, they're producing 22 million crickets a month. The following year, they doubled that up. Now it's the size of a football field, so 44 million crickets per month. And the following year, they were projected to get that up to 250,000 square feet. So in 3 short years, these people have built almost an $11 million business, and their production is under long-term contracts. That's basically all purchased business, which is great. Good news for these 3 students with a great idea. McDonald's. Why would they be interested in edible bugs? Okay. Is it to make a new and improved quarter pounder with cheese? Not really. Their interest is in McNuggets, chicken McNuggets. And what they're doing is looking at this, saying to their suppliers that they want a group of them to supply chicken nuggets that are produced with a conventional um, feed like soybean based or corn. And then they have a group of suppliers that want them to produce these same nuggets with an insect based diet. And what they're doing is running consumer tests. And so what they're looking for is to see if consumers can tell the difference in the texture and flavor of McNuggets produced on one type of animal feed versus the other. And if they can't, McDonald's can now play what we call the green card. Okay. McDonald's can say, we care about the planet, and whether they do or not. And so if they can have this sustainability story that what they're doing is really makes sense and it's good for everybody, they're in a very competitive position. That's because Burger King doesn't have this, Wendy's doesn't have it. It sets McDonald's up to be a front runner in a very competitive business. All right. So as a result, as you have these new companies coming together, they're starting to basically organize themselves, because they now know that if they work together, um, a rising tide floats all boats, as they say. And so there are journals. There's a journal now of insects, food and feed. This is a journal where scientists can publish their research. This has been around for 15 years or so now. And there are now conferences that brings these new companies together, the wannabe companies, the university researchers, to see how they can produce things more efficiently, get more information on the nutrition aspects of this, production techniques, and importantly, how to go to market. How are we going to get people to accept these as food products. So as these companies are churning out these various ingredients, yeah, you've got people that are emerging, that are writing cookbooks. If you're going to have whole roasted crickets available, what the heck can you do with them that your family will enjoy eating? So, are we ready to take the deep dive here? Now, we're probably looking at baby steps for the United States, but for a person in Southeast Asia, yeah, this giant predaceous water bug, yeah, it's pretty palatable. So, the way people are looking at the emerging marketplace is that there's three principal product forms that insect foods will take. One of them is this highly nutritious cricket flour, based on that high protein factor. Yeah, protein bars for a health conscious mobile society. That's something that makes perfect sense. And you can use bugs to make a whole variety of snacks that will compete nicely with, your standard potato chips. This is an interesting test market. This is in the United States. Um, this was done at Safeco Field, the home of the Seattle Mariners baseball team, and they decided to sell whole roasted grasshoppers at some of their concessions. And so basically for $4, yeah, you got a 30 pack of hoppers. And in the year they did this test, 2017, yeah, 18,000 units. Not bad for a little test. And interestingly, they had to impose a limit on how many packages of these one person could order. And I have a personal theory that this limit was probably imposed about the sixth or seventh inning after about um, three or four of those $10 brewskis, and it just lowered people's inhibitions about bug food. So this could make food carts look a little bit different going forward. I think this is a nice array of shish kebab insects. It looks pretty cool to me. And yeah, you're going to have a number of standard ingredient products. So the roasted grasshoppers, the roasted crickets, toasted mealworms, which are a type of beetle larva, and certainly the cricket flour. And so, yeah, you can think there's a variety of different snack products on shelf in Southeast Asia. These are these are whole roasted crickets, and yeah, they're kind of like wok fried and like popcorn. Think about that cricket flour. Yeah, you could make that into a high-end, very nutritious pasta, which actually I think sounds pretty cool. You could also take that cricket flour. Yeah, you can make some nice tortilla chips, add a little cilantro, some salsa. Not a half bad snack. I think a lot of people would take a chance and check it out. Is Dunkin' Donuts ready to take the plunge for garnishing their donuts with some type of insect adornment? Probably not in the near future. That's going to require some more testing and really test that ick factor. But think about presentations. So these gold foil plated crickets on nice chocolates. Think about that as an interesting Mother's Day or a birthday gift. So as a person who loves to cook myself, I'm always thinking about how can I make a more creative presentation and just put smiles on people's faces. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. I hope you learned something. I hope I piqued your interest, and bon appetit. Chelsea, we done?